What's going on? So I'm here to talk about marijuana, the miracle worker, and how it can be a poison. Now, I'm going to tell my experience with this, and I've had a bunch of experiences. I've heard a bunch of stories, and I've heard a bunch of arguments with it, for it, and against it. And I've heard just overall a whole bunch of things amongst it. And I'm going to start off with my story, because my story is kind of unique. When I smoked or started smoking, that is, whatever one you want to look at it. So when I first started smoking, everyone used to hide it from me. The older people that smoked around me, I didn't know the smell of it. And everyone, smoked it, basically, like I said, but I was completely unaware. And it wasn't until when I was 16, because basically the people that smoked it around me wanted to keep it a secret and hide it from me, so they never told me. And they did a very good job at it. Everyone did. And I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what it smelled like. Yada, yada, yada. Eventually, I think when I was like 16, really weird inclination, really weird. I didn't even hear people talk about it. I just wanted to try it. It was just simple as that. And some people I would go play football with out of school, and just my friends all around, but more just so some random guy in the neighborhood who I was kind of friends with, but not like best friends or anything like that. I just asked him, I was like, dude, it was really inclination. Like, it wasn't like someone peer pressured me into it. It's not like someone told me about it. I don't even think I even heard anything about it. It's really crazy. Yeah, so that is like a crazy part of how how it began. And so I just asked him, I was like, dude, I want to smoke some pot. And and I guess he's like, all right, I got you. And he's having people over, like that weekend, a bunch of people that we all knew and stuff. And they were all going there. And he said, just, you can come over. And so I went over that weekend. And that is a crazy part. And so, like, we went into like this dungeon, and everyone had like a grab. I think it was a grab, but they didn't have the water in it, so it was just like without the water, basically. And yeah, so we were all doing it like a ritual. And I was like 16, and I smoked. I didn't get high the first time. Did not get high. And it was basically, the next day came into play, and we did the same exact thing, the whole ritual and everything, and I did get high that time. So that was that story, basically. It was more so how I got into it, and I've had my experiences with it, a bunch of different ones, of course, and I think it serves a bunch of different uses. I also think it can really benefit a lot of people. I know it definitely benefits a lot of people in just a whole variety of ways. One of the ways, which might be more well known or even less well known, is that it cures cancer or kills cancer. And it definitely does. There's a difference between recreational uses and medicinal uses, but they're kind of really tie into each other. And it can be a poison. Of course, everyone says no one dies on it. I mean, I'm sure you've heard that before. No one dies of marijuana. People die on cigarettes. People die on alcohol. I think, personally, marijuana is basically better than alcohol and cigarettes. If we had to execute two of them, it'd be alcohol and cigarettes. Natural nicotine that you would find and get your own, that is better not compared to like a man-made cigarette or some alcohol with a bunch of additives in it. Because alcohol is really a poison, and you could say it even with the same as weed, but it does have some good qualities to it, medicinal qualities, and even recreational. Let me see if I can freaking, no, I guess not. And you know, some of the things that it does, I'm gonna go over the medicinal effects. And it works both ways. I know there's a sativa and indica. I was never really into all that. I know some people are, and the names and stuff. Back then, there was no names, brother. There was no names. And on top of that, there really wasn't. It was really just mids. There was no loud, bomb, pack. New names evolved out of it. And just names in general, it was just called weed or mids, fifth, different names. Low quality basically versus high quality. And just for the fact there, weed is a weed, and it is tied in with the weed family, and it is a weed. Weeds grow everywhere. Weed, I've heard it from old heads, weed used to grow everywhere. The government did a lot of propaganda and they destroyed all the weed plants. It's a weed. Some people just don't understand or don't think, and I get it, but they're capsulized in their head and they don't, you know, they've never even seen it. But even people I've heard told me it grows everywhere. I mean, if you look at weed, it's a weed. Anyways, some things it does, it can suppress your appetite for fatties. It can suppress your appetite. That's why some people, you know, lose weight or don't gain weight. But it also can give you the munchies and get you hungry. It goes both ways on that. It can lift up your depression. It can get you out of boredom. It can enhance activities, whatever it is, physical or maybe a mental one. It can make you think. It can make you feel spiritual. It can hallucinate you. And yeah, like I said, it gets your endocrine system going, which is like your adrenals, your kind of like your nervous system. And this is where it can come into play. It can overstimulate or simulate people's nervous system. And some people have a dull nervous system because you want to be alive and you want to be sharp at the end of the day. I mean, what works for you is not going to work for somebody else, and it's different for everybody else. I know there's a bunch of people who quit and who stopped and don't really care for it, or doesn't really mind them necessarily. Like, I hate the smell of cigarettes. I don't like the smell of blunts. Weed, it's okay. That's an alright smell, I guess. It's not the end of the world. Other stuff seems a lot more toxic. Anyways, it all depends on how it makes you feel at the end of the day. But ultimately, you want to be a sharp person, and you know, you want to be sharp and cunning and almost quick. Just how we're built for. Look at an animal. Most animals, you know, they're alert. You want to be alert. You don't want to be dull. So if it's maybe giving you, look just how it affects you, basically. Is it making you dull, or is it making you active? Is it making you more sociable, making you want to talk, or is it making you go hide in the corner? And it all depends what you want out of it too, and how you approach it. And how often are you using it? Now, those are most of the benefits. And when I said the endocrine system, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. ENDOCRINE system. It's your nervous system, your adrenals, your brain, the way you feel. This is a big thing. People don't know about this. This is a self-awareness thing, how it makes you feel. It makes you feel out of the body, away from the body. And I actually have felt this feeling before, when feeling out of the body, actually a better feeling when I know a lot of people aren't going to know about this, but when you fast and stopped eating, which I did, I felt more euphoric than I did on weed. Just a little more. And it's different though, it's different than the marijuana. I don't, whether I recommend fasting, starving yourself is a different thing. But I did feel this without the marijuana. And it was better. It definitely was better. That being said, marijuana is kind of like a quick route to it. It can boost your creativity, maybe your sex drive. It's all about how you're going about it, how you're approaching it, what are you using it for. Again, some people, I don't think personally, and it's mentally addictive at all. But there is something when you develop a routine, and let's say like if you smoke it once, you're gonna want to freaking smoke again, whether it's later on or the next day. It's just like people say, you probably heard it, one puff leads to another, not maybe at one time. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but people can develop a routine from it, which may seem like it's like simulated, addictively simulating, whatever you want to paraphrase that as. I don't think it's mentally addicting, though, it can help some people who are depressed and sad. Maybe people who need to eat more, who have a lost appetite, they increase their appetite. It does kill cancer, heal that. And and like I said, it affects the nervous system in a good way, which is everything pretty much I just mentioned. But it also, the negative effects, it can make you dull. It can make you unaware. It can make you unsharp, unalert. And these are things, there's a whole balance, but you want to be in tune, not out of tune. You may real things. You realize things, real things. Yeah, of course. You may have epiphanies from this. It's out of a body, you feel out of the body. And there's different types of weeds, just different types from different places, where the soil was grown, the area, the field, the energetic magnetic field it was in. It's going to affect you differently. Weed that's grown in India, it's going to be different from the weed that's grown in South America, Brazil, or the weed that's grown in Mexico, or we can even say the Caribbean. These are different weeds, or some homegrown that's up in Alaska, or some weed that's grown indoor in a laboratory, basically with a bunch of lights and a bunch of simulation, that's looking for a high-end quality product, kind of unnatural, in a laboratory in California. There's different types of weeds, and a lot of people, it's a health thing when you get into like, is it sprayed with pesticides? How was it grown? Was it grown with love and care? Was it grown wild? Was it grown with hatred? Was it grown with a good intent? A good intent, not just for money, that actually help people, heal people, and just a good intention all around. There's other aspects to look at it, and I know a lot of people aren't going to get into that. That's why I'm here. And again, there's pesticides, the environment that it grew in, and it does make a difference if it's grown indoor and outdoor. There is a difference. And again, just the quality of the weed itself. Is it super high THC content? Now, see, I do think people take this too far when it goes in. I mean, this is my personal opinion. This is the only one I really have. I'm not judging anybody. I do think it's getting too potent. I'm just gonna say it out there. People want wax, dabs, oils. They're just doing all this crazy stuff. Hey, if that's you, that's fine. I only need, if I did do something, a hit. I've never really needed an excessive amount ever when I smoked, ever. I never needed an excessive amount. If I think a joint, if there's a party going on, there's a bunch of stuff going around, that's fine. Are you high all the time? Is that how you want to be? I just want you to really analyze your life. And I do think, while I don't think, again, it's mentally addictive, it can be mentally stimulating, but more so what I want to get off where I was talking about a poisoning is when you abuse it. When you just go to it all the time. You just have to be really aware. Is it benefiting you at the end of the day? And this is a valuable question to really learn. Is it really benefiting you? You know, are you smoking out of fucking rolled up paper, like actual paper, not tops or zigzags or OCB or raws? I mean, of course, no one really does that, but there's people. Are you smoking out of tin foil? Are you smoking out of glass? Are you vaporizing it? Is it going through, you know, a detoxifying process before it gets to your lungs? Are you smoking out of a blunt? What type of cigar are you inhaling? And just for the record, just so you know, and I know a lot of people smoke them out of blunts, and probably a lot of rappers, it's just things like that. Just so you know, blunts are not meant to be smoked. They're not meant to be smoked. You can go as far as said weed's not meant to be smoked. Whatever. I don't know how someone decided to go up to the plant, roll it up in something, and then decide to light it. But I can guarantee you, they probably didn't do it in a blunt. You're not meant to smoke blunts, people. You're not meant to smoke blunts. Blunts are for inhaling, for taste, flavor, and aroma. They're not meant to be inhaled. Go to a cigar shop and smoke a freaking blunt. None of them inhale the freaking cigar. So, if my recommendations of smoking, the best way, I know there's also edibles, consumption like that. Though, the thing about that is you don't know how much you're taking, and it can hit you really hard, and that can hit your nervous system even harder. Inhaling hits you faster. Yeah, so, and then there's strictly CBD. CBD is more so the therapeutic benefits, the one that actually goes against cancer. Whether you want to extract it or just have a plant that's mainly CBD, whatever, I guess that's all good on purpose. I think the whole archaeology of the plant is just the best. I'm just talking about it overall, and understand there's even differences nowadays, and people like to get real particular. I don't care about none of that stuff. I'm going to tell you how I feel. I'm going to tell you what it is. Maybe what my experience is, and what I've heard, and other things like going on. I'm telling it for myself, and it can definitely be beneficial to people. And I do think, though, people can abuse it. You know, if you're smoking weed all day, and I have nothing against it, but like Wiz Khalifa, Snoop Dogg, or some of these people, you don't even know if they're smoking weed all day as what they show you or claim, because you don't know, which I beg to differ, but these people might be smoking all damn day. Some people can't get shit done. Some people become lazy, but some things come up when you smoke weed. But this is just all there presently. You don't already know nothing that you don't know. You know, what are you really smoking for? Is it recreation, or the feel good, or, you know, to heal something, or something along those lines, or for the medicinal benefits, therapeutic? Why is the reason? How is it making you feel? Like I said, some people get lazy, some people fall asleep. It depends on what they're using it for and what kind, I guess, they're smoking necessarily. Some get real energized and pumped up. Some have a flow of creativity. And as I was saying, you know, smoking all day, every day, I mean, I don't know. At that point, you might be abusing it. But if that's what you want to do, it's ultimately what you want to do. Just don't let it consume you. You know, don't let it roll your life. You be the roller, and that's my channel is all about being in control and loving yourself, self-recognition or awareness, realizations, and just therapeutic things and lessons. And that's what, you know, all my videos are about. At the end of the day, it's how you make it feel. It's like some benefits that I've seen to me, you know, and I've had some bad times with it. There's definitely, you know, and every person is also different, because we live in that type of world of diversity. People's bodies are built different. There's people who can smoke all day and not have a problem with it, but that's not to say they aren't abusing it, or, you know, using it for what it needs to be used for. And everyone has different body types. Some people can't smoke it at all. Some people can smoke a little bit. And as I was saying about the dabs and the wax, I do think, you're taking it to the edibles. The edibles, all right, and there's nothing wrong with that. I could see, because you don't inhale anything, you just eat it. But when you go as far as vaporizing, it'd probably be the healthiest. Maybe even eating it would be the actual healthiest. Then freaking vaporizing it. Then maybe glass and / papers, then blunts. Blunts are the worst. I would say blunts are the worst. Maybe in tin foil below that. But blunts are the worst. Trust me. And I know, because I'm a sensitive person. Some people can run through it all the time and not notice the problem. I just think it's even better to buy papers, more economical. You just usually get so many papers, where a blunt, you have to keep buying them. It's just like buying cigarettes. It's a waste of freaking money. You need to stop that. Unless you go roll your own cigarettes. Wow, you might as well. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go with some experiences I had with it. There's times I had creativity. Why I smoked it. I've never really smoked it for necessarily medicinal purposes. Maybe I had some that intertwined with it that I didn't realize with it. I kind of smoked it for sociable events, creativity boosts, but I would say more would just enhance recreational activities. I'd go like snowboarding, I'd go smoke. And I know people use it for the activities, and they use it for working out. I'd go smoke, and I'd go play some basketball in the summer heat, and I would love it. And there's just, that's funny, things among those lines. I know people who are athletes that go smoke it, and it says they enhance their activity, their concentration, and things like that. I'm not one to necessarily go meditate from smoking marijuana. I wouldn't do that. I don't feel good doing that, to be honest. And yeah, I've had some bad effects too, and it's all depending on my body. I've had times where I've shaken for no reason because my nervous system was overstimulated. Times I didn't feel good. Times I wish I wasn't high. And just overall times I didn't feel good. And then there's a bunch of times where I did feel good and stuff along those lines. But it's equal out. And I know people who had a bunch of, because I have problems myself, but that's just my body. And these things, intertwine, and it depends on the person. So yeah, it might not kill you, but it might make you feel like you're dying. There's plus and negatives, and it depends how you do it. And I nowadays probably wouldn't smoke to enhance, for physical activity. I probably wouldn't do that necessarily. Not saying I couldn't, and it depends on the activity that I'm doing. And there's a bunch of stories out there you could research on the tube, do a bunch of other things. And again, people smoke for a bunch of different reasons. Just as long as you don't abuse it at the end of the day, I think where we need to get at. And then I'll end with, there's people that talk about that, it's bad and you shouldn't smoke it, or they don't support it more than like a little medicinal use. I think that's a bunch of bullshit. And you'll hear certain people, whatever it is, they're totally against it. And I'm not saying they have to try, because you can't knock it until you try it. But the same thing with like heroin, you can't really say that, or jumping off a bridge or laying on a freaking railroad and getting run over. Yeah, no one's gonna want to do that. Maybe some, but you're not gonna survive after, so more than likely. And maybe if you did, you're probably not gonna want to. Yeah, so, and I get where people are coming from, but then again, they've never tried it, because everything has an up and down in life. Your goal is to be at a steady serotonin level throughout the whole day. That being said, you can vibrate and be super high all the day. Maybe that's where you want to be. But all highs come down. whether it's to a medium or to a low. And some people are maybe naturally high all day and feel happy all day. There's also, you know, like, I don't know if it was Albert Einstein, everything up must come down. Everything is temporary. It's not gonna, everything, that's when you get high, you eventually come down. And then probably want to smoke again. You know, it all comes down. You get excited about something, maybe a new car, you get it, but after a while you get used to it. Everything dies. Life itself, the cycle of life dies, it ends. Animal life, plant life, energy. It just gets renewed and kind of recycled. Renewed sounds better. We'll use that. At the end of the day, it's how you make it feel. Don't listen to nobody else. You know, maybe recognize where your stuff is coming from. How are you ingesting it? And how it makes you feel. Who are you doing it with? What are you doing it for? Is it holding you back? Because I'm sure there's a bunch of stories out there. Or are you abusing it? That's all I would have to say. Sub to the channel. Let me know how you feel. Give me a like. Check out some other videos. If you have any video requests, let me know. A lot of content. See you later.